Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the AVGL Aftermath. Once again, we're going to wrap up what happened with the league and, kind of catch you up on some of your favorite collegiate esports. Joining me this week, we've got our classic Smitecast, Mr. J Mac Tucker. Say hello to the beautiful people, Mr. J Mac.
Hello, all you wonderful people. Those who stuck around from the Smite stream. Now I get to talk about what happened in the stream and what happened this week.
The devastation, the victories, all the good stuff. And also join us this week for our League of Legends is OPL Casting. Say hello to the beautiful people, OPL.
Hey everybody, hopefully you guys are having a great night. Looking forward to hopefully making it all the much better. And yeah, I'm excited to be here.
And we're excited to have you. So we're just going to dive right into it this week. So what's going on with the AVGL? Well, let's do a recap with League of Legends since we got you kind of rolling now, OPL.
Yeah, for League of Legends, we pretty much did our entire knockout stage, minus the grand finals for their first ever Collegiate League of Legends Championship. So we know our final two teams heading into DreamHack. It was, actually, you guys can see the VOD on the channel here from Sunday. It was almost 13 hours long. It was a very long day, but we had plenty of action, and our last two teams coming into DreamHack is going to be University of Houston, Team A, and then Columbia College, their blue team, which is their main team, a very powerful roster. So I'm looking forward to this matchup when I get to go down there in a couple weeks to go cast that one for you guys. It's just been very fun here for the League of Legends stuff. So yeah, like we said, these two teams, we're going to be flying them down to DreamHack Denver so they can play on the main stage, Columbia and Houston. And that's like, you don't really get that opportunity. I think there's a couple players on Columbia that actually have subbed for some LCS teams in the pro scene. So there is a possible that might be something they're familiar with. But I know for Houston, none of their players really popped out to me as far as returning players to like a main stage style event. It's a new experience, and you don't get that chance too often.
That is so cool. I mean, just getting the chance to go to DreamHack usually is something a lot of people don't get to do, but to be on stage, that's insane.
No, it's going to be a bunch of fun. We also are going to be having a grudge match between, I believe it was Colorado State University and University of Colorado. They are also going to be playing on the stage for a little bit. They'll be playing before the grand final. You guys can actually watch both matches over on the DreamHack Twitch account. So make sure to keep in touch with that and make sure to follow it for some updates because, you'll be able to see a couple of games beforehand and then our grand final between Columbia and Houston. It should be a ton of fun.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. And of course, thank you to the Twitch student HyperX and DreamHack for sponsoring this opportunity for all of our awesome competitors. And to be sure to click the stream below to get your DreamHack Denver tickets, apparently. So that's kind of awesome. So do you want to expand on the teams at all? Like what made them, what do you think brought them to this? Maybe what their meta is, what their strengths are, what anything you saw evolve maybe throughout that 13-hour day that made these two teams come out on top?
Well, it was actually a very decent showing we had from a lot of teams. We had over 100 teams sign up for the tournament. We did our group stages in the first week, and then our weekend, it was a round of 32 in one day. That's a little bit ridiculous, but we did manage to survive. And Columbia, they actually had a little bit of a tough time as far as the teams they were going against. Our bottom half of the bracket was actually pretty packed with some powerful teams. They went up against, notably, this matchup was on the stream, Ohio State University, which has a very powerful roster that they were able to actually 2-0. And Columbia, I think, have gone undefeated through the group stage as well as the bracket knockout to the grand final. And I'll start with Columbia here. They have a bunch of high-tier players. Hollywood in the mid lane, awesome player. He's also a really fun guy. He's pretty funny over on Twitter. He's a great person to just be able to talk to. I've casted him a couple times outside of AVGL. Their support as well, Dean, is a monster. From all the stuff we saw, his Janna, his Thresh, landing some insane hooks with that Thresh. That was the big standout. I don't think he missed a Thresh hook for about 15 minutes into the game. Every time we saw him, maybe he saw him when we weren't looking. But then the caster curse came through and he missed one and we felt bad and we said, okay, we'll never mention it. But Columbia, when they get a lead, they usually just go ahead and just take over the game. Another fun fact is their top laner actually is one-handed. He actually plays with a modified mouse. So he also plays carries too. He doesn't
Holy
play the
hell.
simple point and click CC like tanks. He likes to play those carries. He was playing the Camille. He's also playing a Fiora, Misty Stumpy. You can tell by the name there. Also just a pleasure to watch. That's kind of my big standouts for Columbia. Meanwhile, in Houston, I'm not as familiar with. I did get to see a lot of their games go though, and really see what they did. In Houston, they did have a little bit of trouble. They did drop one game getting to the grand final, and that was in the semifinals against Miami, where they dropped game 2 and they were able to force a game 3. A little bit of some of their macro decisions were a little bit questionable, but they were able to pull it off. And they also have a pretty flexible roster. Columbia, they have a pretty fine set of 5 players they like to run. Meanwhile, in Houston, when I was doing the research and looking back into the group stages, they did play kind of nifty, kind of a cycle of 7 players. So I'm interested to see what they bring out to DreamHack. Most notably, you will be seeing their support Banshee Rush, also a pretty adamant Thresh player. So you might be seeing some pick and bans over that champion when it comes to DreamHack when we get to our final, because Dean and him are both going to be contesting for those picks. Popper's in the mid lane. Also, his name suggests it. He popped off when it came to a lot of these fights, especially in those semis and quarterfinals. So I was glad to be able to watch him. He kind of likes to play those control mages a little bit, but he is, at the moment, he has to because of the meta, but he also likes to play those assassins. So they also were playing a Fizz in the group stage at some point. Really enjoyed Alex Ho on the jungle, kind of plays a rotation, lots of aggressive early jungles. So that's what I expect to see out of them. Their mid lane, kind of a question. Uchiha was playing during the knockout stages, so that's who I'm going to assume they're going to go with. Played mainly tanks when we were watching a Galio Maokai, stuff that you could easily set up team fights on. And to round it out, their ADC is going to be a Tiff, most likely. Likes to play safe ADCs, played the Tristana, played the Caitlyn, lots of range in those characters. So like to siege them down. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen for the grand final, because we both have really good teams.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, and I always like a good Thresh game because they're just such a havoc causer. When you get hooked and you're just, it makes things amazing. So I'm super excited to see that.
It's a playmaker. It's enjoyable to watch because you know when there's a Thresh in it, if you're going to be landing hooks, they're looking for fights. And personally, the meta how it is right now, I personally hate Ardent Sensor. It is the most boring meta to watch right now. Even at Worlds, the bot lanes are pretty stale to begin with. You have Relic Shields on the ADC, sometimes both ADCs running Relic. And when you buy a Relic Shield on your ADC, you're pretty much saying, I give up this lane. I just want to get on. What happens is when both AD carries get it, it kind of turns into a, well, no, you farm. Oh, you farm. It's just kind of a slappy match between the two. But you mentioned Thresh. That means there's lots of engage usually in these bot lanes. Usually they're going to run in Ignite as well. So I'm always happy to see a Thresh. It's going to be a lot of fun when it comes to Denver.
Heck yes. Oh man. So this sounds like it's going to be, well, DreamHack was always a blast and our finals have always been amazing, but this one sounds like it's going to be huge because for us, I didn't even actually watch League of Legends at all before AVGL started picking it up. And I got to admit, I'm a Dota guy, but this has been wildly entertaining to watch. Everything I've heard about League was completely wrong. So if you're a Dota person watching right now, you got to check this stuff out. It's wildly fun. With that, let's go ahead and switch over to some Smite. Give J-Mac a chance to give us his bits on what's going on in the Smite season.
Hey, first I gotta give a shout out to my boys of U of H-Town homie myself here. So I'm I'm rooting for. I'm gonna be a little biased towards H-Town for this one. So go Cougs onto that one. But Smite, it's just now finished up. It's 6th match of the day. Today was match 6, and we've only got 2 or 3 more games for the remainder of our teams. It's coming to the conclusion as next Thursday is going to be the last official regular season matches. Then we're going to be taking our top 4 teams in every division. They're going to be going into the gauntlet stage. So everybody's really fighting hard for that 4th seed, the 3rd seed. Most importantly, that most wanted 1st seed, because the lower in the gauntlet that you are, the more games you have to play to get up to that potential top spot. And right now, we got a lot of good teams really fighting for those top 2 and 3 seeds.
So anybody really shining, bias out of the way, like anybody you've been really impressed by, any unexpected risers in this match?
Honestly, there's the more expected risers are the players who have played it in the AVGL a lot more. You know, you have the guys over on what was the team? Cooney, Staten Island, which, by the way, I got to say at least once every time I'm on the camera, just because it warms up Collateral's heart, is City University of New York, College of Staten Island. There you go. You get it now for your little broadcast. So Staten Island, this is a team made up of the runner-ups of the past 2 seasons. Collateral and Fatal coming from season 2. Sir Bomberman and Mort Brooklyn from season 3. Throw in a couple of other little knick-knack paddywhacks in there, and, well, now you've got yourself a team. This is kind of one of the expected top 4 teams that we're seeing, along with the return of some of our champions from Tarrant County College, Puckham, OSATH, Glavis, Y-Tri, Cardiac, Ratcheteer joining the ranks of that, because Data Remember's gone. Our 3-peat champion alongside OSATH he's a pro. He's a big boy now, so he's no longer with us. It's happy for me. I'm excited for him. Fine OK was going to be joining this roster, but he's a big boy again, so now he can't be joining us again, as well as Sam for Soccer, who was going to be on the Cooney Staten Island roster, but they've moved on. And so far, Tarrant County, Cooney Staten Island, Indiana Bloomington, and Consumnes River College are all looking to really be the top 4 teams really competing for that land spot. And so far, there aren't too many teams outside of those top 4 that really have that big shot through. I'd say for the Celtic division with Indiana, Lawrence Tech is looking very strong. They're tied up there 6-0 with Indiana. Their match is going to be played tomorrow, I believe. Tomorrow's a doubleheader weekend, so it's going to be another long day of play for some of these guys. University of California, Santa Cruz, we all like to make the joke, but Omarcio the God is returning through this season. He's up there, 5-0, tied with the top team, and that's going to be a matchup to watch. They play tomorrow as well for match number 7. Cooney Staten Island, they're really looking just to be the powerhouse of their division. Miami looks strong against them, but in the end today, Cooney Staten Island came out on top. And despite Tarrant County not being the number 1 by technicality standpoints in their division, they're looking to be up there with University of Alabama Huntsville looking very strong. Currently, Alabama is the number 1 seed because they're undefeated. Tarrant County College, and I love saying it to them, well, they had the college student mentality, and they just didn't show up on time. So they have
semi-defeated.
Yeah, they got defeated by the clock more than anything else. But Tarrant County really looked to be the strong team out of the Egyptian division.
Dang, it sounds like we've been having a hell of a season. It's always good to see some of the guys returning, like Puckham. He's always entertaining as hell to watch. So I'm really glad to see him coming back, and knowing that some of our guys have graduated and become big old players. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah,
and so it's incredible. But
those guys are phenomenal. And Fine OK this past week in the Pro League, it looked like he was picking apples from a tree in that game. Had some phenomenal Hercules play this last week in the Pro League, and it just warms my heart seeing that he's moved on. He doesn't need us anymore. We were the stepping stone to the Pro League for him, and that's a big opening for me. It's just like I got to watch these guys grow up and get to that level that they are now. So it's just a great feeling for them.
Yes, that's kind of what we're here for. And a big thanks to High Res, of course, for all of the help and all of the prizes and stuff. Without High Res, none of this would be possible, including, making the game. So big thanks to High Res on that. And speaking of High Res, the Paladins season is coming up. The registration has closed, and it's time for the season to begin. The groups and full schedules will be released tonight, with the first matches starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Sunday. We're going to be streaming all of the action at twitch.tv/AVGL, as always, as the teams compete for $10,000. You can watch the stream Sunday at 6 p.m. EST and Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Again, big thanks for High Res for making that all possible. So we're going to go do something for this week. We're going to do some more kind of like a Q&A with you guys real quick. So we'll start with League of Legends, since we started with that, and we'll go back to that. So which team do you feel is going to be the strongest for the upcoming match? Like, who's your favorite?
Well, I gotta say, all casters, we have a little bit of bias in us. Knowing that I've watched Columbia before, and just looking at their current rankings, when it comes into the solo queue, they're able to maintain their high ranking while playing competitively. And it's also that I feel like their champion pool is very diverse when I take a look into it. And the fact that you have Stumpy on these carries that likes to play aggressive, because really, Columbia, they need to answer Houston as far as aggression goes. Houston's average game time when it came to the groups alone was 21 minutes. That's really fast.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Considering... Again, pardon me. When a lot of their games were ending around that 17-minute mark and they weren't surrenders, that's pretty fast. That's a little ridiculous. So I'll have to actually take another look and make sure I'm very on point with that last thing I just said. I'm pretty sure there wasn't as many surrenders there because people don't like to surrender as much as I've seen as far as this tournament goes. I think I only saw one surrender in about the 20 games that I casted over the last 2 weeks. I got to give it to Columbia. I really feel like they're strong. I could see Houston taking a game off them, likely game 1 or game 2, something early, maybe trying to get a weird strat out of the gate, maybe trying something new, kind of how Gigabyte Marines right now Worlds are doing. They're trying every wacky trick in the book to try and cheese out wins. And one time it didn't work so well against the top Korean team, but almost it sent them, gave them a little bit of a head scratcher there. So I'm going to say Columbia likely in the end, 3-1.
Perfect. And it sounds like you've been following Columbia, you know what you're talking about. Now, what player out of either team has surprised you the most? Like who's somebody you hadn't even thought of, and then all of a sudden, bam, they're kicking ass.
I gotta give it to Dean. I often like to focus on the carries of teams, but his support play was ridiculous during the bracket knockout. He had some insane stops. I think the biggest thing was a mid lane where he prevented a body slam from a Gragas onto his AD carry with the Jana Monsoon, where he didn't have barely any time to do this. Like, it was like perfectly framed from our end, how we watched it. He also, like I said, on that Thresh landing so many hooks, was able to make a lot of plays happen. And one kind of trend we saw in the tournament was the roaming supports making plays into the mid lane. If you're able to get someone like Hollywood going, you're in a really good spot to close out games.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man. So just curious, which team are you surprised didn't make it this far? Who were you kind of disappointed with after everything shook out?
Well, you say disappointed, but they really didn't have a choice. Like I mentioned earlier, our bracket was a bit heavy-sided onto the bottom half, Columbia. One matchup that could have actually been our finals if they were on the other side was Ohio versus Columbia. Ohio, they went out of the second round to Columbia. Just, luck of the draw. We do random seeds. It happens. I feel like if they were on that top half, that would have been our final, because Ohio is a very strong team. When they play the correct roster, they actually didn't play their main roster. They kind of flipped people in and out, and I kind of feel like that was kind of an issue they've had. When they run their real roster, they are able to just be a very, very opposable team. Like, it is hard to contend with them because I often cast them usually once or twice a week through the various collegiate leagues that I do over at Upsurge and Compete League Elite. And that would have been the one team that I would have said, I'm disappointed not to see them in the final, but at least we got to see what my likely final matchup would have been. The other one would have been Miami. They were kind of a little bit of an underdog story. Miami's kind of a more newer esports program when it comes to League of Legends, and they got to the semifinals, only dropping a couple games here and there. So I was actually very impressed with their play. They just weren't able to keep up with Houston.
Oh man, that sounds like we missed a hell of a game if you didn't happen to see that one. But of course, the VODs are always up, so you can go check them out a little bit later. So with that, switch gears back over to Smite. So coming up, what do you think's the strongest favorite to make it to the LAN finals as it stands right now? We're just finishing up the last broadcast.
Man, with the four teams that talked about, Consumnes River College, Indiana, Staten Island, and Tarrant County. I mean, these four teams all have that potential to make it to LAN. My strongest favorite coming through, there's that little bit of caster bias with it. I can't really argue against the champions. Bringing Puckham back, I think that his team has a very strong chance of making it back to the LAN. Like I said, it's really hard to argue with the fact that they've been winning. They have winning players on their team, and when teams are just coming up and not really able to perform up against them, it's really hard to put them down. It's really going to come down to the gauntlet post-gauntlet round robin that we're going to have. That's where we're really going to see some of the crazy out there plays and some of maybe the twists and turns that'll come out of the season.
Very nice. And so the strongest favorite on top is going to be Puckham's team, I assume.
Yep, Tarrant County. I got to give it to them. I'm hoping for the four-peat. Osath is the last player of the original AVGL season who can go for a 4-time champion. So I'm going for it because I want to see the four-peat.
Perfect. And so which team surprised you the most? Who came out of nowhere for you?
Honestly, UC Santa Cruz, Amarcio's team last season, they were kind of just the team that we looked at and they're like, well, they're in not so great of a division. So, they're just going to kind of perform up there. I think they took second seed last time around just because no one else in that division really could perform up to par. But this season, they have come back hitting strong where last time games were pretty close, keeping them even, 20 some odd kills apiece. This season, they are blowing teams out of the water. 40-7, they had a match just recently, like 36-12 again. I mean, they are putting up some insane numbers, and Amarcio was really leading the charge of this team. He took the best members of his team and the best members of old UC Riverside, mashed them together, and now we've got a very powerful team coming through. They're really going to give Consumnes River College a run for their money. That's the matchup I'm probably most excited for this season. So UC Santa Cruz, they're by far my most surprising team.
Very nice. And flip side, disappointing team.
Ohio State for me. Last season they looked so strong. They took first place in their division. Or no, they took first place in their division, second place in the gauntlet, so they didn't quite make it to that semifinal matchup. And I was thinking, I looked at the roster, the only person who left that team was Sheikah. Everybody else was still an original member. They even added one or two more. So I said, these guys can still shoot for top in their division. Only problem is right now, Sheikah's new team is in that same division. And watching that matchup and even watching matchups they've had prior in the weeks, let me see if I can find where that team was. Lawrence Tech was one of the ones that I mentioned earlier who was a top team. I thought that was going to be a 2-1, at least a 2-1 in favor of Ohio State. And Lawrence Tech blew them out of the water 2-0. Ohio State just has not performed up to the same. I'd say of all of the teams that came back and I was really looking forward to watching, Ohio, for me, they're not by any means this bad team, but they're just not performing up to the same level I thought they would.
Oh man, you hate to see it. And but it happens to the best of teams and it happens a lot to the worst of teams. So at least they don't have to go through it as often as most other people. Let's go to the top plays of the week. These are, of course, the most amazing plays that we've seen over the past little bit. Maybe we'll even see some of the stuff that you've heard about from OPL and JMAC tonight. Because let's face it, these teams, they're collegiate teams, but they can pull out some amazing plays in the moment. So let's go to that.
Want to break it out? It is a shut down, and a rookie's going to be out of where he can deal any damage in this fight. The ultimate coming out from Maokai as well, but Viet Fox is the story that he wants to follow up. It's a nice shot from the one you fear, and Godlike is Unbound Money keeps it raking on in. Minio down now as well. Jungler and support, not the most integral for the fight if they do want to keep it on, but their health bars for Puffs, the tank line, will not hold out as a double kill for one you fear comes on through. Now Pratt on the run for his life. A spell shield to keep things alive. It is the 2 damage dealers, the 2 wave clearing potential people. But I don't see this going well if they continue to try to push.
In the bot lane, matching going on.
Yeah, but Charm did land there. Super has to run away, gets ignited. The flash is gonna land in. He does get the ultimate from the Shen. The teleport coming on in. Faith is gonna land that taunt. You can see Knight has no option but to take his death. Raykoza trying to aggro the Baron. Scarbo jumps right on in right now. He gets hooked up. He's not able to do a whole lot. IE Tacos looking to run for his life. This is going to be it. Lasagna pushing on forward. Zipper can't do anything. She has no mana. Scarbo with the slash takes her down.
Santa Cruz, I would be so upset giving up that kill, and on top of that, oh, Savvy Sword's a beast! Losing anybody!
Down, the Master Yi picks up the kill. He's not done yet. He has a Shen right on top of him. Flasher goes over the wall with the flash. The rocket lands. Not going to kill anyone just yet. Alpha Strike going to land here. He picks up a double kill. Going to get stunned up. Also gets knocked away. Going on to Lightning. It's a triple kill for Scarbo. Looking to make it a quadra
Oh my
kill.
god!
The there I go. The AVGL Organization of the Week. This week we're going to be featuring the University of Utah, who announced their varsity rosters this week. Utah is the first Power 5 school to start a varsity esports program, one that will initially offer partial scholarships for competitive video gaming. Can you believe it? It's happening, guys. It's happening. And so here's the video reveal of their players. The University of Utah will be one of 10 schools competing in the AVGL Collegiate Grudge matches at DreamHack in Denver. Their Overwatch team will face off against the University of Arizona on October 20th. So make sure you're there, and you can watch it right here on twitch.tv/AVGL. Keep an eye on AVGL Official on Twitter at AVGL Official, all one word, of course, because it's Twitter. And when we go live, be sure to follow us right here, right now, so you can get notified when the broadcast goes live. With that, I think we're kind of running out of time for the day, so let's go ahead and wrap things up. OPL, let the people know where they can find you, where they can, stalk you on the internet, as it were.
Well, if you really want to waste your time like that and try and hunt me down, I'm kidding. Yeah, you can find me over at Twitter at OPL Casting, all one word. Sadly, Riot took away at OPL, and I should have branded that back when I actually decided to go with this name. I'm disappointed. You can also find me over here on Twitch at OPL_casting. If you guys are interested in Worlds and stuff, I usually try and do some VOD reviews, hopefully for the next week into group stages. So yeah, I love League. So if you like League, make sure to come on by and hopefully we can talk.
Hell yes. And J-Mac, you got anything coming up for the beautiful people besides all of the thousands of matches of Smite we got coming up?
Well, I mean, with the last 2 weeks, or with the last week of Smite coming through, it's going to be crazy, and you don't want to miss out on any of it. We'll be here on Thursday night. We'll be back tomorrow night, and we'll be back next Saturday as well. So you don't want to miss out on the last matches of Smite before the Gauntlet. But as for me, you can find me on Twitter at @JMacTucker. I do stream my power rankings and predictions every single week on Twitch at JMacTucker. So if you want to know where the witch hunt is, those are your 2 places to go. I'll keep you updated when those come through. I love the fun banter that comes from all the players between themselves and between me when those little ranks and predictions come through. So it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see how this goes through.
It's gonna be awesome. And as always, I'm Hitchhiker of the Mind. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Hitchhiker of the Mind. I know it's a lot to type out. Or on Twitter at @HitchhikerMind. And that's me. This is the AVGL. Find them of course at AVGL Official, or whichever game you're interested in, AVGL_ and then insert game is pretty much the easiest way to find out what's going on with any of our leagues. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you guys later.